from the grassroots level. So this would result in sharing a greater diversity of meanings and plurality in cultural understandings of society. And this process should be carried out at local, national, and also at global spheres, because that is the main aim of global communication here. So when we see from the point of view of McBride report, in the McBride report, here the democratization of communication is defined as the process whereby an individual sometimes becomes a partner and not only a mere object of communication, because he has to participate. That means he has to share his ideas, express his opinions, and not only just merely receive the information what has been bombarded to the person. He has to react and share. And also through this process, the variety of messages that are being exchanged, they increases, right? And also there is an extent and quality of social representation of participation. That means there are wide groups of people in the society who are in the verge of participation. That means they share their ideas, beliefs, thoughts, and concisely what they do is they come to a uniformity and they help in decision making process. So in this process, people are actively involved not only in receiving but also in sending the messages. So this means every member of the society should have access to all the means of communication in order to allow each of them to participate effectively in public policy making and also in political process of the society. So this International Commission for the Study of Communication Problems that was set up by the UNESCO under the chairmanship of Sean McBride, that is the new World Information Communication Order that we have discussed earlier. It occupies a very prominent place in the debates. So, as I told you, the commission was created in the year 1977. It was a direct response to the resolution which was provided in the general session of the UNESCO, which was held in 1976. So this commission took 2 years going through there were more than 100 working papers, especially commissioned for this report to bring out one final report in the year 1980, which gave some exact points which raised the issue of reducing global communication and the imbalances in the flow of communication. So at present, the most used mode of communication in society seems to be, as I told you, there is only unidirectional or vertical communication that has been going on in the context of global communication. That is from the center to the mass and from the rich to the poor, or we can say from few to many. So this communication studies look at the mass media as if the mass can participate only as a select or active members, or whether they can share their opinions freely or not. So this unidirectional communication is intended by those who control levels of communication to produce an efficient, or we can say that a smoothly functioning society. So it's very important for people to have freedom to express their opinions, to participate in the process of communication and policy making process. So this McBride's report, which was established in the year 1980, identifies some barriers such as undemocratic nature of the society, or what do we call as a bureaucratic nature in communication. That means control of the powerful nations, developed nations. Then there is vertical communication. We have illiteracy as a barrier. Then inappropriate technologies, like developing nations, they are lagging behind with the use of ICTs. Then there are inadequacy of communication channels in the society. Then there is so much diversity and choice, right? Not only among nations, but also in the states, right? Then there is lack of knowledge to decode. Suppose if there is a communication process that is going on from global level, then if people don't have knowledge to decode that process, then there is a bias in the decision making process. So see, owing to that socio-technological imbalance, there was also, a one-way flow of information, that is from the center to the periphery. That means only from the developed nations it was transferring to the developing or underdeveloped nations, so which created a wide gap between the haves and the have-nots. That means the information rich were in a position to dictate terms to the information poor. That means it was creating a structure of dependency with widespread economic, political, or what do we call as social ramifications for the very poor societies. That is the underdeveloped nations, third world countries. And this vertical flow of global information was dominated by the Western world, Western-based transnational corporations. That means the Western or international news agencies, right? So the information was treated by the transnational media as a commodity. Okay, not as a need, but as a commodity. That means it was commercialized and it was subjected to the rules of the market. That meant that there were only commercialization, there was no development. News or information was treated as a commodity that time. And the entire information and communication order was part of those international agencies. And it created international inequality among the developed nations, developing and underdeveloped nations. Okay, any doubts? So these were the barriers of communication existing that time, and to break through these barriers, the commission recommended many steps, like participation in media management by representatives of public, common citizens, and various citizen groups that are existing in the society. Then, as opposed by the vertical communication, they suggested that there should be horizontal communication. That means communication be both from the grassroots level and from the center. That means there should be balance in the flow of communication, or we can say as two-way flow of communication should be there. Then counter information should be there, and forms of alternative communications should be adopted, where people or trade unions or social groups with similar interest can participate in the communication process. So they observed that participation is the only solution to break through these barriers of communication that has been existing in the society from a very long time. So it is purely believed on the philosophy of participation, that on the notion that the historical view of human beings is to be free from the shackles of, that means people should be free to express their opinion. That is the purpose of participatory communication, and it's the only solution. It should allow people to participate and make them realize their full potential, and also to educate the people, the masses. So this is possible not only by providing the technological means, that means through the use of ICTs, but also by attempting to reinterpret their beliefs. You have to force their beliefs that they might change, and there should be a change in the public attitude and opinion on which the principle of communication is based. That means it should not be from top to down, but it should be vice versa, both the ways. So as ideas about free market solutions started circulating that time, there were debates over information flows within the UNESCO. That setup was also changing after the report was established in the year 1980. So the organization itself, that means the UNESCO, was gradually losing its primacy over discussing about international communication issues, because there was lack of support from developing nations. As I told you, USA and UK backed off earlier, but later they joined. So the focus of the debate too had shifted from news and information flow to areas such as global telecommunication. Then we have this ITU, something called as International Telecommunication Union. So all these agencies acquire greater importance during that time. And another key contributing factor was the availability of new information technologies, because globalization has begun that time during 1990s, and the growing convergence between information and the combination of all these technologies, computer related technologies. Traditionally, it dealt with separate uh, base, information base. So among all these, the New World Information Communication Order debate faded into insignificance because they at that time they treated that information was being privileged only for the developed nations, and it was a trend which received a new importance during those process, which was associated with the UNESCO. Okay, clear? So they recommended that participation of communication is very important. People should participate from all the levels, local, national, and international levels, in order to make proper decisions. And then later in 1927, also there was a meeting in Belgrade from UNESCO's side, stating that there should be free access, and participation of people in information management. So this aspect, it raised questions concerning the public service and the role of media at that time, because media plays very important role in disseminating the information, right? So the chance for the people to choose varied and relevant information, and to have means of feedback to transmit to the and transmit the reactions of the people and the demands of production. And so organizations were very reluctant that time of for this concept, participatory communication. So the issue of participation also implied the involvement of people in the production process, that is the news production process, and also in the planning of communication systems. So, and all these parameters of self-management, they promoted an advanced form of participation for the people that time, people or the general public, to exercise their power of decision making, right, within whatever the means of communication they have. And also it was being fully involved in the formation of communication policies and plans post 1990. So this was the power of participatory communication that was seen after the recommendation from the McBride report. So that was seen after the globalization. Okay. So have you heard about alternative media? Anyone? Alternative media? Nafisa, Sirisha, anyone?
No, ma'am.
No? Or mainstream media? The mainstream media are the ones with big resources, the news organizations, news channels, newspaper organizations with big resources, and they set the framework in which everyone operates. And the audience of mainstream media is mostly privileged people, or we can say wealthy or part of political class as well. And sometimes they can be political managers, business managers, big people, big shot people, journalists who are involved in organizing the way people think and look at things. So mainstream media are the big news corporation, big organizations, the news channels, what we see on television. So what they interact with and relate to are other major power centers, because the government or other corporations or universities are also involved here. So according to a communication scholar, James Hamilton, he argues that most, alternative media are, the websites, okay, the other forms of traditional forms of media, which are not part of mainstream media, are known as alternative media. Okay, see, um, We have theater, street theater, songs, posters, puppetry show. All these things are alternative forms of media. Okay, so ranging from, we have community radio as well. Ranging from community radio to all these types of traditional forms of folk media are considered as alternative form of media, and it's always alternative media have always tried to challenge the status quo of this mainstream media.
Ma'am, TV and radio are also from mainstream media. No?
Yes, television,
Alternative.
radio are part of mainstream media. Okay. See, it is media that plays central role in production and distribution of the communication process, you all know. So this way, here, the alternative media, what they do is they give a voice to the minority. Like whatever is not depicted in the mainstream media is being carried out, or it's been circulated by this alternative media. They try to show the other side, the other different perspectives or different angle, which has been neglected or sidelined often by the mainstream media. Okay. They are always, mainstream media are always, the carriers of dominant representations. They are sometimes vertical depiction of news, which are carried out. They have their own different agenda, and it is always meant at large scale or heterogeneous segments of audiences. That means it is carried out to large number of people, and their main motive here is capital accumulation, that is profit. They are profit base, and also there is private ownership of this means of production. That means the mainstream media is always a private ownership. So, and it is also mainly the news or distribution of news or information exchange is mainly driven by the TRPs. Okay. So this diverse media or alternative media, it's sometimes called as diverse media. It is very central and healthy to the democracy. That means this media represent the social institutions, government. People are free to express themselves. It is democratic. There is plurality of perspectives, which has been, which is very essential in developing and also mobilizing people, right? There is mutual understanding of the differences, and also the similarities, the differences are being respected, which exist between the society or between people, right? So media construct, you all know, right? Media construct our reality, and it also helps to define who we are. And even they try to reflect our perspective on even who we wish to become, right? Media has that power. So, according to a definition by James Hamilton, alternative media allow people allow people who are not underrepresented or misrepresented in the mainstream media to tell their own stories through their through their self. Like they are free to express themselves. And alternative media are crucially about offering the means for democratic communication to people who are normally excluded from the mainstream media. They give a voice to the people. And according to Noam Chomsky, alternative media means non-commercial media. That means it is only for the purpose of serving interest of the people. It's not for any profit or capital oriented. Okay. So the media ownership and the media partnership in terms of alternative media is for different purpose. Yes, it is always challenging the dominant hierarchy that has been existing in the mainstream media. And it is not one-way communication here. Here we have two-way communication where people exchange information, and also there is a chance to give feedback, give and receive feedback. Okay. So the main purpose of this alternative media is to eliminate the inequality of information that has been existing in the mass media. So with the advent of internet, it has been very easy and it has given a new voice to the forms, different forms existing in the alternative media. Because we have lots of websites now, as I told you, which can be accessed through internet, apart from the old traditional forms of media such as folk media. So it basically alternative media deals with the opinions of small minorities, and also it expresses attitudes which people hold for a long time and which they are waiting for people to disseminate. And it also it also makes people to come up with new views or ideas, or deals with subjects which is not given proper coverage by the mainstream media. Okay, and the ownership pattern here is non-commercialized. That means I said this is not for profit oriented, it's for general public interest. And there is no political dominance or oppositional subject here. People are free to express. It is mostly participatory. And also the content which we see in mainstream media and alternative media are different in forms, in different forms, like the way people express. Okay. Because alternative media provide critical content, and also they are free to express themselves without any ideological content, without any subjectivity, in a standardized form in whichever they are free to express themselves. Okay. And here in alternative media, technology is also, that means the use of ICT also allow easy and cheap production. That means you don't have to spend anything here in alternative media. Sometimes it's free, but we have something called as copyright issues, free access, okay, on the content that has been shared or copied on online platforms. Sometimes they are free, sometimes it is copyright. That means you're not authorized to use it without the consent of the owner. Okay, so we these days we have a lot of books, right? Books also, libraries that is available on internet websites. So sometimes there are copyright issues, and that means you have to seek the permission of the owner. So at the reception level, we can say that in the traditional media, content is interpreted in different ways, right? And people are free to express their opinions. That allows people to, or people to receive the information, and also they are allowed to question the domination which has been carried out in the mainstream media. Okay. And also see this it is participatory communication, or it's done through alternative media. That means your community plays a very important role. That means a community which goes beyond the geography or the ethnicity which is there in the existing in the society. So here access to media is done not only just for the media technology, but also there are so many training and costs involved in the alternative media. That is different when compared to the mainstream media, because here participation is mostly done through trainings, online trainings. So to put it in short, we can say that alternative media is mostly participatory and it is a collective organization. That means people are united, people are free to discuss anything. There is horizontal communication and it is not commercial in nature. That means there is no financing required, or there is no self-interest of the people. That is only for the betterment or for the welfare of the society. Any doubt?
Madam, can I ask one thing?
Yes.
Madam, I think we have completed this topic in offline classes earlier before. So is this a revision class?
No, no, no. This is another topic. Alternative media.
Okay, so that is a similar topic. It seems here we have already completed this topic in college class itself. So I thought this is a revision class. So
No, no,
if it is
no.
a revision
The
class, then I can
alternative
join
media
later on.
is new topic. Yeah. Okay. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
So we can say that the very existence of this alternative media is to give voice to the ideologies of those people who are misrepresented in the mainstream channels of communication. That means if it gives a voice to the non-existing communities in the mainstream media. Do you want to share any examples of alternative media which you have seen? Community radio is also an example of alternative media. Any other examples of traditional folk forms? Anyone?
Drama.
Yes. Folk forms. Okay. See, one of the traditional forms that have been widely used both by the mainstream and by the alternative group is something called as yatra. Have you heard about this term, yatra?
Yes, ma'am.
See, we have Save Narmada Yatra example, right? Rath Yatra. So it's a means of direct communication and it contains within itself several forms of media that is considered as alternative here because see Yatra, as I told you, it's a street theater and it is a video form also where hundreds of miles, people are traveling hundreds of miles and it involves thousands of villagers who are participants, right? And what they do through this is they show their empowerment, which is not confined to the, any any forms of discrimination. How people are empowered unitedly. Okay, so it can be any cause, and also sometimes it's for political cause as well. So a totally different kind of medium, which is used sometimes by mainstream and also by alternative media. So what is the common thing here is video. Videos can be used both by mainstream media and alternative media. Okay. And there are a lot of NGOs who support the cause of alternative media, like community radios. They funds community radios or films, documentary films, which are different from the mainstream media. See, earlier video was known to be a medium to which only earlier rural people were, reluctant to adapt more freely due to the accessibility issue. But now, thanks to all these alternative forms of media, there is a difference in the perception of people, and they are very much, uh, comfortable in ruling out the possible chances of making videos and disseminating in the rural communities. So this was a very careful choice, which was intended to combine traditional and modern methods to impart knowledge. So there are such other forms of organizations which are working for people, for women, for the cause of women, for underprivileged people, for children. Street theater is also one among them. So street theater is a very good example for alternative media. You all understand, right? What is street theater? This is particularly done in rural areas. So they come up with so many plays, programs, and they tell stories of people. So if we talk about the impact of alternative media, see where mainstream medias are concerned, here impact is often measured in terms of quantity. That means it is quantifiable through data or numbers of listeners, viewers, location, right? Mainstream media is generally dealt with TRPs. How many people are listening or watching the programs, the patterns, viewing patterns of the people or the audiences. Here, the more undefinable aspects of media messages, because here it's more very easy to measure, but it's very difficult to measure in the case of alternative media. See, given the smallness of most alternative media forms and their fairly limited reach, it may be said that the use of such forms that has been considerable impact many levels. Here, people activities are being carried out. So many activities are carried out from the grassroots levels, and it is also done at policy levels also. So it's very difficult to measure the impact of alternative media in terms of numbers. It's not quantifiable, but we can say that the impact can be measured on the attitude of the people. So here, at alternative forms of media, the impact of level works at many different aspects. See, for the time being, at least we can say that street play they doesn't seem to be a central part of campaigns these days, as it was decades ago. Here in urban areas, the reality of the movement, whatever people come through or mobilize is different, and therefore here new media forms are being sought now. As I told you, with the advent of ICTs, so people prefer to communicate different messages with the use of ICTs. Okay,
Madam,
community radio.
Madam, nowadays in this particular advanced moment, even the alternative media, just like they used to give an announcement with the mics and horns. Example, electricity bill and water bill, they used to announce on the road.
Yes, traditional media. It's still been carried out in some certain areas, remote areas, right? People still follow all those activities. Those who don't have access to the new forms of communication, still those activities are carried on. And these days, those folk media, they are being combined with new media. If you see online, all those street theater, street plays is been online. They have been streamed online, and they have been showing it to people through this video on wheels. Have you heard about this video on wheels? In last semester we did. Anyone remember? Video on wheels. See, traditional folk media, the depicted person, right? What they do is they record all these things and they show it to people in rural areas on video on wheels. That means they have a particular slot given to each village, and people gather there and they watch those programs or street plays online or through video. That is the convergence part. See, the lack of funds or the interested audience and participants, it is, making people to move away from those traditional or folk form of media, which is resulting in pressures for commercialization. That means I told you it's meant for non-profit. People are away from the profit or capitalistic thing. Here, the marginalization or the radical content is very important to reach broader audiences. The better the content, the more people they attract. because this is the main aim of non-profit organizations, to reach to the audiences. As I told you, it is not quantifiable. That means the changes in the attitude of the people has to be measured. So here content plays a very important role.
So now we can take the example of election for promoting that parties and all that.
Is that is for creating awareness.
Even for voting
The
and
main aim
promoting and
is
campaigning their parties.
to urge people to yes, continue, Hamid, what you were saying.
No, just telling about that for promoting and campaigning for their parties for election period and for voting to their party, whoever the candidate is. So like that videos, we can take the example for video on reels
So
or video.
what is the main purpose of this video election campaign? The purpose behind?
To attract more and
What do
more
you
audience, just like you said.
No, to attract or to mobilize people, to sensitize people about the consequences. What do you think? Just to attract the people or um, to have a change in the mindset?
To manipulate their mindset and to divert their track from other way towards their ways.
Ma'am, Yadgir madam, to attract the people and also to give the what they want to, how to reach to the public is also the campaigning they are using for that only.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So any other alternative forms of media that you have observed in rural areas? Apart from this street theater and puppetry?
Okay, in traditional way.
Yeah, traditional folk form. Any examples?
Drums beatings and all that. In previous days, they used to announce through the drums, na?
Yeah, that is also one.
And door to door, they have to go through complaints and also the physical form of group of people to reach the campaign. That is also the tradition.
Yes. And here also in our societies we find this through for election purpose also. Campaigning. Door to door campaigning. Okay. Are you clear about mainstream media, alternative media? Okay, so what is citizen journalism? Have you heard about citizen journalism? What is citizen journalism?
They are not professionals, ma'am.
You're not professional journalists, they're common people, citizens, right?
Like stringers, ma'am.
Not singers, common people,
Okay.
citizens, common,
Okay.
normal citizens.
Common citizen, wherever they find the news or videos, they used to capture with their mobile or with the camera, and they used to post through the social media or to send to the
madam.
government agencies.
Page number 117, citizen journalism.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Yes, so what they do is they post, this is the citizen journalism is an alternative form of media, right? Example. So as Ahmed said, what they do is they post whatever they see, they take videos or they take pictures, or they, they just simply write or give an account of whatever they have seen. So basically, we can say that it's an eyewitness kind of a thing, eyewitness account of things where common people. So this is a form of participatory communication, citizen journalism, right? So any other example?
They use social media for their opinion, ma'am.
Yeah, they use social media. They post. So, like any example of any citizen journalism activity which you have seen? There are so many examples, right? Suppose if there is an earthquake, Japan earthquake, mainstream media won't be present, right? People who witness the first-hand account of all these activities, they take pictures, they post it on social media.
Just
Not
like
open
2 or 3 days back, it was a very heavy rain, and the entire water was struck on the road in the traffic jam and all that. For that thing, also citizens are responsible to capture that videos and post on the social media and give a heavy alert messages to the citizens to be safe and drive safe.
Yes, yes. So what sometimes this mainstream media do is they take the footage or the news from all these citizen journalism, the post, and they air it on the news channels. They publish it because this is first-hand information. But sometimes, do you think always it would be true? Like sometimes it can be manipulative, right? Do you think it's trustworthy taking news or information from citizen journalism posts which have been people, is it authentic? Not always, right? Do you agree with this? It's not always authentic. How?
No, it's not authentic, madam. Yeah, it's not, I think, authentic
Sometimes,
for
yeah.
always, because
Hmm.
they used to post a video by saying that okay, by this video belongs to Hyderabad, but that videos is not concerned with Hyderabad. It from other states, but they used to put that okay, by it's from Hyderabad. This is the security or this is the issues like that. So they used to manipulate the caption and post the videos very incorrect or improper way.
Yeah, they deliberately change the location, and also they sometimes edit the videos, right? So sometimes it can
Ma'am,
be.
bloggers also come under citizen journalism.
Yes, yes. We have so many YouTube channels also, right? All these things, blogs also which are informative. Where people, they post information, right? For the benefit of the people. All those informative blogs comes under citizen journalism, the alternative media. And a very popular form of alternative media is community radio. You all know, right? What is community radio?
FM, ma'am.
No, community radio. It's a radio, community radio is a form of alternative media where the radio is run by the community, by the people itself, particular community, particular section of community, where they, uh, what they do is they raise some issues regarding whatever concern they have. They,
Just like farmers community like that.
yeah, farmers, women empowerment, farmers, all these things, they raise issues, right, of certain community. This is also alternative media. So this is run by the people, the community, particular community itself, and it is mostly funded by the NGOs. Okay. So what do you think? Mainstream media is more powerful than alternative media or vice versa?
Mainstream mainstream media
especially in
is
the
the powerful
context of yeah.
mainstream media is powerful, ma'am. Alternative media is powerful, but it is not authenticated to some extent.
So you think mainstream media is more powerful, but see, given the context in today's scenario where these medias are operating, it's like alternative media is becoming more powerful these days because citizens have the right, they can express themselves, right? In mainstream media, many issues are being neglected, right? You might agree. People, the common issues of people are being neglected, like education, health, employment, poverty. So mainstream media is particularly driven by TRPs. Like people need sensationalism, like they need entertainment. So if you see, I told you all kinds of news have become breaking news on mainstream media, which is not at all directly related or concerned with the development of the society or the people or the nation, right? So here, alternative media gives voice, give platform for the people to raise all these issues. We have so many what do you say, movies being made, right? Documentaries. Do you agree with that? Alternative media is powerful in today's context. Like you're free to express your opinion, but I feel that alternative media has become more powerful than mainstream media, especially in the context of developing nations like ours, India. But when compared to developed nations, we can say that mainstream media is very powerful because it is dominating not only the developing nations, but it is also controlling the underdeveloped nations, the third world nations. As I told you, the information flow is from central to peripheral. Though this report was made in 1980s, there is no free and balanced or what do we say two-way flow of communication that has been existing here. The perfect example is the mainstream media and the difference and similarities between the both these kinds of media. Is there any other example you would like to give how alternative media?
Class B है class B है बोला
How alternative media has impacted people, has mobilized people and solved their problems. Any example from your whatever you have observed from your point of view?
Twitter, madam.
Yes.
Twitter.
How Twitter? Yes, Twitter is also. Any example like how? Any example what we have seen how it has helped? You want to narrate some example? Any campaign, social media campaign? Anything that you have observed? Is anyone Amjad, Sirisha, Nafisa, Chari? You have been using social media. Yes, you all use social media.
I think everyone does.
Any example which you remember? Any campaign? Any campaign which
One
got
thing I
importance?
one thing I realized, whoever doing their campaigning, they used to manipulate and mislead to the listeners. They used to give improper information against the second party, and they used to give a proper information, and they use always positive in their favor, and they say different thing and false thing to the to against people and all that. So like that, they used to manipulate their listeners and false informations. I observed that thing.
So are you talking about mainstream media who have their presence or alternative media, or the direct citizen journalism thing you're talking about, like manipulating? We have observed like people were manipulated by these false fabrications, right? So where what did you observe? Where the mainstream media was there involved in this, or direct citizens, common people?
I think both are responsible for that fabricated news and information.
Okay. So that means sometimes it's not authentic and it needs to be verified, the fabrication of news or the videos, especially. But on the whole, it's a very powerful medium, right? Alternative media is very powerful medium for people to exercise their rights and also to participate freely in the information exchange process, which is often being neglected by the mainstream media. Okay. Are you clear? Are you
Ma'am,
clear
your
about
voice
citizen
breaking, ma'am.
journalism participate? Are you clear about citizen journalism?
Yes, ma'am.
Citizen journalism is part of participatory journalism or participatory communication. Okay. So alternative media is posing as a threat to mainstream media. Okay. And mostly because of access. Alternative media through the use of ICTs have access. Like people anywhere around the world can access at any time, as opposed to the mainstream media. Because if you watch any news on particular channel, say, okay, earlier that was the case that if you missed it, it was missed. But now it is been telecast on YouTube also, or you can watch it later on their websites. But alternative media is very powerful because there is a constant feedback. What do you understand by constant feedback? Constant feedback on alternative media. That means if somebody has posted
Comment,
a
comments, madam.
feedback, you can comment then and there. And even if it's a live video, people can post, right?
Share the pictures and share the videos and comments, like etc.
Yes. So your feedback is constant in alternative media as opposed to mainstream media. So mainstream media, if you want to, for example, I told you letters to the editors. If you want to reply to an editorial, that means you need to write a letter, or example, you have to send an email to the editor, and then it will take time for you to get response. But it's not the case with the alternative media. Feedback is spontaneous.
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. So understood, right?
Yes, madam.
Is there any doubt?
No, madam. Madam, I have a doubt. मैडम, यानी कि अगर अपन एडिटर को या किसी को, अगर कंपनी को अगर कुछ बोलना चाह रहे तो वहां से जवाब आने में बहुत देर होता, अगर वही कमेंट करे तो क्विक रिस्पांस आता मैडम.
There is quick response, spontaneous response. Immediately you will get the response.
Yes, madam.
Yes. So tomorrow we'll deal with major news, global news agencies.
Page numbers, madam.
Global news agencies, page number 54. Different agencies like Reuters, AFP,
Okay.
UPI,
Okay,
all
madam.
these agencies. Okay. So democratization of communication is important question. Make a note of this. Democratization of communication. Have to give examples. Okay, so you have a break now. Democratization of communication. Please make a note of this. Okay, so you have break now. Break time. 12:30.
Yeah, ma'am.
Continue, madam. Continue, madam.
No. You take a break now. Half an hour break.
No, madam. No, madam. You continue, madam. Just 15 minutes.
Ask others if they are comfortable. Then otherwise, we'll take a break.
No,
No,
ma'am.
Because
no,
we have
madam.
another class now.
No,
ma'am.
madam. You continue, madam. You continue, madam.
Continue, ma'am. We are comfortable. Please, ma'am.
बच्चे और 2 क्लास है मैडम. आप थोड़ी देर 10-15 मिनट भी अगर कंटिन्यू कर दे तो हो जाता मैडम.
Yeah, you all have taken note of all the important questions that we have discussed in earlier classes also. Those who were there in the offline classes.
That's what a question I want to ask you, madam. Why don't we go for offline classes? Why we are preferring?
क्या
That
बोले?
is the policy.
Ma'am, is possible, please, once again, please repeat it, madam. Important.
नहीं मैडम. ऑफलाइन क्लासेस रख रहे क्या मैडम?
Sir, Sunil sir, you have to ask Sunil sir because first year students they are insisting for offline classes, another 4 classes.
Yes, madam.
So that you have to ask sir. Are you comfortable with online classes or offline?
I
Offline.
have to both, madam. I have to both.
I vote for offline classes. If Sunil sir allowing to the first year students for offline classes, then we'll open classes.
That
अगर
depends on
सुनील सर यादगिरी
then
सर
how
अगर
many
अलाउ कर रहे तो मैं ऑनलाइन को भी रेडी हूँ मैडम, ऑफलाइन क्लासेस को भी रेडी हूँ मैडम. सुनील सर यादगिरी सर जैसा बोलेंगे वैसा.
Yeah.
Ma'am, offline is
That
best,
depends
ma'am.
on offline.
पर
What
ऑफलाइन
about
में कोई नहीं
other?
आते ना मैडम. ऑनलाइन में तो भी फिर भी 15 मेंबर्स 20 मेंबर्स तक आ रहे हैं मैडम.
చాలా మందికి ఆఫ్లైన్ ఎప్పుడు పెట్టారో తెలియదు కాబట్టి రాలేదు. ఇప్పుడు వస్తారు.
అవును,
इतने
correct.
मालूम सबको
అవును.
मालूम सबको
correct.
मालूम
మనకి మాత్రం
क्लासेस कर रहे
మనకి
क्या है.
తెలుసు వాళ్ళు సడన్ గా పెట్టేశారు కాబట్టి రాలేకపోయారు. ఇప్పుడు వస్తారు
No,
కదా.
no, no, no.
मैम
No, no.
एक्चुअली
అవును మేడం.
आज
మేడం
जैसे
అట్లంటే
मैम
आज
One
देखो
tenth
సాటర్డే रहने
students
के बाद भी
హాయ్ సంధ్య
मैम
ఈ
एक्चुअली
రోజు
ऑनलाइन
సాటర్డే
क्लासेस इज
ఉండడం
नॉट
బట్టి కూడా
convenient.
ఈ రోజు
ऑफलाइन
అందరూ
क्लासेस
ఆన్లైన్
only
లోకి
convenient for
వచ్చారనంటే
me.
ఆన్లైన్ ఈజ్ బెస్ట్ మై ఆప్షన్.
ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని నువ్వు చేసుకో. మీకు
ఆఫ్లైన్ ఇస్ ద బెస్ట్
नहीं
మ్యామ్
मैं ड्राइविंग पे हूँ.
ఆఫ్లైన్ బెస్ట్ మ్యామ్
We'll
ఆఫ్లైన్
inform
బెస్ట్ మ్యామ్
Sunil sir.
I think we are
मैं
confusing,
ऑनलाइन
ma'am.
मैडम.
మై ఓట్ ఆఫ్లైన్ మ్యామ్
ऑनलाइन मैडम.
Online.
What about others?
नहीं मैं नोटा को
Ma'am,
डालता हूँ.
I'm Sandhya offline. I'm ready.
Raj, Sandhya,
Can
Shivangi.
I?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, online will be the best option, ma'am, because I'm from
Me-
out of the state.